So welcome to the second part of our Aikido Ukemi tutorial for instructors and beginners of learning how to roll. So far we looked at the forward roll from the knees and also the backward roll from sitting. This time we're going to look at the forward roll from one knee up. The first roll is not necessarily the one which most dojos do, but it's a good one to learn. It's also a good way to stretch, and also so it's a flexibility exercise, and also a good way of understanding the mechanics of the roll. Now the second roll, it may be much harder to learn, and also the difficult part might be that you might hit your shoulder, hit your elbow, hit your hips. It might be a painful process. So I'm going to try to explain it in the best detail I can so that you would learn it gradually without hurting yourself. Because just keep in mind that if either your student hurts himself or you hurt yourself as you train, it might cause discomfort, and it might discourage you from training further and prevent you from learning the beautiful art of Aikido that it is. So let's try to make it as smooth and as good as possible so that you can learn Aikido the best way you can. So we're going to start by looking at the position prior to the roll. There's some details to look at here already. Now, to begin with, we're searching for a triangle. So if your legs are, let's say, if your knee and your foot is on the same line, now there's no base here. So here I can lose my balance very easily. This side is okay. This not so great. Also the same if the foot would be here on this side. Now I don't have any balance here. So basically what I want to do, I want to have the front leg in the middle of the back leg. Back leg, it's not, if you look from the side, it's not straight. So not straight like this. There's also no base to this side. Not much here. It's turned to the side. So now I have a support on the knee here for my balance, and on the toes, make sure the toes are bent. Here also support myself. And so basically I make a triangle here. There's a triangle from the foot, here, here, triangle. Now I'm still. So this is the starting position. So now when you find the good starting position, we're going to start to look at the hands. Again, this is the front leg, this is the front arm. Front arm goes, turns towards, the fingers are pointing towards my body. Now as I place this hand, now that turn, it creates a certain feeling of a half circle. As we've spoken in the previous video, a square doesn't roll nicely. It hits the corners, and if your body is square, you're going to hit the corners. It's going to cause pain. We want to be as round as we can. So as I said, this turn of the hand, first of all, it creates this round feeling of an arm. Now the common mistake that beginners do, they bend the arm here. This is understandable because we want to, psychologically, we want to get ourselves closer to the mat. Since this distance may look scary from the beginning, in order to make that distance smaller, a lot of beginners will bend their elbow. But here, now if the elbow is bent, there's no round feeling, it's a square feeling, it's an angle, a sharp edge, and that's where you're going to hit yourself. So here, if I bend it and I roll, I hit, and then I might hit the shoulder again. There's no rolling it. So make sure, and this is, let's say, rule number 1, which is very important, do not bend the arm. If you know the term tegatana, te is hand, katana the sword, tegatana is the connection of the two words. It means sword arm. That means this is kind of a sword arm. As a Japanese sword, it's not completely straight, but it doesn't bend either. So round arm, not bending. Don't bend the arm as you roll. Now, here What might help is the other hand, since there's going to be some weight on the body. The second hand is as a support or as a safety trigger. It's going to support me as I roll forward. Now, as I said, the goal is not to touch the mat with the elbow, not to bend the arm. The goal is actually to roll through the entire arm. Then afterwards, after the arm, if it's the right arm which rolls, the roll will pass through this shoulder line to the left hip. So it's kind of this path here. But the most important part is to take care of the arm. As I said, the goal is actually to roll through the entire arm, actually to touch every part of the arm with the mat. As I said in the previous video as well, let's say the second rule is as much contact with the mat that you have, the better, the smoother the roll will be. So try not to miss any points. If I start rolling from here and I place the hand directly to here, now a more advanced person might be able to do that, but in the beginning, try to avoid that. So we want to, before we roll, we want to really touch the entire arm. Now, as the elbow wants to bend in order to make the distance shorter, the same desire might come up for the knee. Before I roll to make the distance shorter, I might place the knee first and then try to roll. This is possible, this is doable, but we're going to actually skip that part, specifically since you can hurt your knee, and also it's a habit which is hard to decompose afterwards. So the knee is not going to touch the mat. The roll is really going to be through the entire arm. The other arm is the support. So I'm going to lift my back leg. As I lift my back leg, the hips go up. Try not to raise the hips too high up. This is already a fair distance to the mat. The higher you raise the hips, the bigger the distance will become, and obviously that makes it even harder. So actually the hips rather go more forward here. Now the goal is, as I said, to place and roll through the entire arm. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to touch the mat with this part without touching the mat with the knee. This part, and I unroll through the rest of the arm. So again, the arm doesn't bend, the knee doesn't touch the ground. I roll forward, I support myself here. Since there's going to be weight that's going down, I support the weight here, and I place the entire arm. Now, as you place the entire arm, and as you give a bit of a push to the back leg or some energy, the roll will actually happen naturally by itself. So don't worry, as long as you follow these rules, no bending of the arm, no touching the mat with the knee, it should take care of itself. So here, support, I go up, I support myself with this arm, I touch the mat with the whole arm, and without bending, the body rolls naturally. Now, a couple of questions that might come into your mind is, first of all, the question of where to place the arms, where to place the hands. Normally what I suggest placing them next to the foot, maybe a bit back. Forward, it's hard to place this part of the arm later on. You can do that, but it's harder. Here, also the tendency is then not to roll for this part, but actually to roll straight on the shoulder. So it's best, let's say, next to the heel, right here. That's a fair position. Now the second question might come up for what to do with the head. It's not it doesn't change much where you place the head. Try not to look too much down, because that might want the body to be suggested to go down rather than forward. Try to look forward, and as you roll, just keep your chin a bit tucked in so that the head doesn't get in the way. Normally it shouldn't get in the way, but just out of safety, it's more here, looking forward, and actually reaching forward as you roll. Try not to dedicate your energy down, but rather forward, as if you would like to reach for something. Forward, here, as if I would try to reach for something. Now the last point to mention is the final position. If you give yourself enough energy, here you should maintain the feeling of trying to reach for something. You should have enough energy to actually bring yourself up with the energy of the roll. If you're having difficulties with that, if you're, let's say, rolling and you stop here, and then you need to lift yourself up, that's normally a sign that you don't give enough energy and there's not enough intention of trying to reach forward. So if that happens, just more energy in the front, looking forward, giving yourself energy to push and more. Now just a few last pointers for teaching a beginner to roll, or for a beginner learning to roll. It might be difficult or scary to do the forward roll from the knee straight on the mat if there's no extra support on it. So what I teach, the way I do it to my new students, first of all I bring a big mat, like a big mattress. Again, I place myself here and here, and they do exactly the same, but the mattress just gives us a chance to feel if there's some mistakes, if there's some sharp angles, and also just psychological benefit of not having the opportunity to hurt yourself, so they can actually develop the feeling of it. So let's say I roll here, and slowly I do it again and again, and that way I develop the feeling of the roll. Then afterwards I bring a smaller mat, and then you do exactly the same on this mat. Also that is, if you do some mistakes, then you have a lighter sense of those mistakes without too much contact. One point to mention is that if your body gets hurt during the roll, that's going to cause some psychological fear and tension in it. Tension is not really a very welcome thing in the rolling. So if you're going to hurt yourself again and again, that tension that you build up, that psychological also, both psychological and physical tension, is going to make it much harder for you to learn to roll. So it's a good way to gradually get the student into the roll using extra mattresses. So after the big mattress, I use the smaller one to do the same roll. And then eventually the roll goes without it at all. So thank you again for watching the second part. We're going to release the third part maybe in the next month or so. The third part is going to look at the standing roll, and eventually we're going to look at the backward roll from standing as well. Maybe we're going to come up to high folds and then look at them in detail. If you have any questions, leave your question in the comments or write us, email. I will be more than happy to help you out and answer your questions in detail. It's really my passion, and I'm really happy to do that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If there's something missing, also let us know. But otherwise, this is Aikido Ukemi. I'm Sensei Rokas, and see you on the virtual mat again soon.